If you've watched any recent Hollywood movies, you'll probably have noticed they don't look as good as they used to. I think pretty much everybody kind of understands that. And one of many reasons for this comes down to flat lighting. So modern Hollywood has been basically throwing away all of the rules that we've always known about filmmaking. And I often say that a good cinematographer knows when to break the rules, absolutely. But this is a weird way in which Hollywood has been both perfectly following the rules and doing it completely wrong at the same time. So if you watch any recent movies, and I'm particularly thinking of Wicked as an example right now, I'm gonna screen record on here so you can see what I mean. The lighting on all of the characters' faces in pretty much the entire movie is extremely blank. It's flat, there's no direction, there's no shadow, it's just extremely smoothly lit across the board. Compare that to, this is from Fight Club, right? Think about how distinct and deliberate that lighting is. And of course, this is just great. They've got the practical in the background for the edge light and all that. It's just an excellent shot. But the lighting is very deliberate. They knew exactly what they were going to shoot. So why are we doing the flat lighting? A couple of reasons. The biggest one is essentially what it boils down to anyway, is that they're not pre-planning like they used to, like you're supposed to do. You go into these movies, if you want to go make a movie, make any kind of video, most of the time, most of the process, you're just planning the thing. You're figuring out, okay, what do we want each shot to look like, storyboarding and all that kind of stuff. And you go in with a plan and you execute the plan. That's how that works. That has not been the case in Hollywood for a long time. And once you notice this, you're not going to unsee it. Anytime you watch a movie, it's just blatantly obvious that these people do not have a plan. They're just making stuff up as they go along. And so if you want to do that, and given how heavily we're relying on CGI for practically everything in movies these days, think about how if you don't really know what your environment is going to look like when you shoot a scene, you haven't figured it out yet, where exactly are they, what does it look like exactly, you need to be able to build flexibility into your shots so that your CGI guys can actually work with it. So let's say, pretend my background doesn't exist right now. And, or let's say it's a different background. Let's say I'm outside right now and this is all CGI and we've got this lamp in the background. You would need to be able to put this edge light on the side of my head, but we don't know it's there yet. So your only option then is to make sure that the lighting is so incredibly flat across my whole face. Then in post, you can bring up the exposure right here, bring it down right here, and create your own shadows, create your own lighting in post. But as you can probably imagine, it doesn't end up looking that good. And so what you end up with is this really lifeless, bland, flat image that just does not speak to anybody's soul as a human being and looks objectively terrible. And this is what's being used in practically every movie these days. The other reason this is happening is it's kind of similar. If you're familiar with the volume is this gigantic wraparound screen that was invented a couple of years ago. It kind of made its debut on The Mandalorian, and it was revolutionary technology because it meant you could build a 3D world in Unreal Engine or something like that, basically a video game generated world. And then you would have your camera, you would have like a digital version of your camera in that world. So when you point the camera, you turn the camera, the world on the screen moves with it. That alone makes things a little bit easier, but more importantly, it means that reflections and lighting stays consistent with what's in the background. So if you watch The Mandalorian, of course, he's got this chrome armor that reflects everything. If you have an actual image of the background behind him, well, you get the reflections of the background on his armor. You don't have to add it in post, and it looks more real because it's actually there like you would expect it to be. It was brilliant. One of the greatest advancements in filmmaking we've seen in a long time. And then they became hyper-reliant on the volume because it made things cheaper, easier, and all of that. And I'm going to make a whole rant next week about the volume, so bear in mind that's going to happen. But in doing so, because you have this world moving around you, it's too hard to add your key light and then have your key light move because they need to put on like a slider thing, and it's not going to go well. So what they have to do instead is create this digital lighting just like you would with CGI, and you just have the same problem where you have to light everything perfectly flat. Yes, you get the reflections in the background, which is great, but your key lighting, the lighting on your face, still has to be really flat so that you can work with it and move it around in post. This reminds me of something my drill instructor used to tell me, my whole platoon, which was drive your heels, which is a reference to when you're marching, you're supposed to slam your foot into the ground as hard as you can so it makes a loud noise. But deeper reason for that is that you're supposed to act deliberately. You know, if you're gonna do something, do it all the way. Drive your heel when you take a step. Exact same concept, like have your creative vision in mind and commit to that. And it might not work. You might take a wrong step. You might, that's gonna happen. It always happens, that's the game. But you have to commit to it, because if you don't, you're guaranteed to fail. You might fail really big if you drive your heels, but you'll definitely fail a little bit if you don't. And that's the problem that Hollywood's having these days. So the solution to this, plan ahead, take some creative liberty, and be confident in those decisions, and light it like you mean it. Just exist. Unashamedly exist. All of these movies all look exactly the same. They're bland, they're lifeless, they're stale. Do not be like these people. And if you are thinking about going to film school, if you're in film school, just know this is the kind of stuff that you're being taught, that they're being taught in film school, because this is now the correct way to do things. Because it makes more financial sense, it allows for a little bit more creative freedom in post, and that way you don't have to bother planning everything, you don't have to pay the CGI guys as much. It's just a mess. And this is what they're gonna teach you. And this is objectively wrong. If you wanna learn how to do this correctly, follow us on here on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. I talk about this stuff all the time, free value, all that stuff. If there's something you want me to talk about next time, drop it in a comment, I'll get to it. And happy shooting.